Welcome to the deep dive. Have you ever paused to think about, the invisible battles happening all around us, right under our feet, maybe even carried on the breeze? We're talking about the silent world of plant pathogens. Tiny invaders, really, that can wreak havoc on crops, gardens, everything. It's sort of a hidden war, but it's fundamental, for food supply, even your backyard tomatoes. So today, we're diving deep into how these tiny threats actually travel and what we can even do to stop them. We've gathered your sources on plant pathogen dispersal and management, and our mission really is to pull out the key insights. How do they spread? What strategies work to keep them in check? Basically revealing the secret life of plant disease.
And understanding this, it's absolutely crucial. It doesn't matter if you're a farmer, a gardener, or frankly, just curious about how nature works. What's really key here, I think, is that prevention is so often the critical first step, mostly because the ways these pathogens spread are so complex, sometimes surprisingly subtle ways. It's rarely simple.
Okay, let's unpack this then. The sources talk about two main ways pathogens get around: active and passive dispersal. Now, my understanding is one's about the pathogen moving with something, and the other is being moved by something external. Is that right? What makes them distinct?
Yeah, that's a great way to think about it. Active dispersal means the pathogens are essentially carried within farming elements. They're already part of the material, like hidden inside. Think about seeds, for example. They can be these silent carriers. Your sources mention things like smut spores or ergot sclerotia. These are basically tiny, dormant bits of the fungus hidden right inside the seed coat, just waiting.
Wow, okay. So even a seed that looks perfectly healthy could be carrying trouble. That's a huge challenge. It means the fight starts right from the beginning, from the inside out almost.
Precisely. And it's not just seeds. Soil is another big one for active carrying. Soil can shelter these incredibly tough pathogen structures, things called oospores, chlamydospores, sclerotia. These come from common fungi like Pythium, Fusarium, Rhizotonia. Think of them like microscopic armored bunkers, really tough survival units. They can sit dormant in the soil, sometimes for years, waiting for the right plant or conditions. And how do they move? Well, during irrigation, when fields get plowed, or even just, stuck to workers' boots or tools, simple stuff.
So the ground beneath our feet isn't just dirt. It could be a microbial minefield. It really shows how embedded these threats can be. But, okay, if that's the inside job, what about the external threats?
Yeah.
The passive dispersal. This is where it gets really interesting, right? What kind of surprising carriers are involved here?
Right. If active is the agent inside, passive is like catching a taxi. External agents carry the pathogen to new places, sometimes really far. Insects are huge players. Aphids, leafhoppers, they're notorious for spreading viruses plant to plant, like tiny, flying hypodermics. Then you've got mites, even nematodes in the soil. They can pick up and ferry fungi and bacteria around too.
So these little guys aren't just munching on leaves. They're accidentally delivering diseases.
Yeah.
How fast can that spread things, especially if you get like a big infestation?
Oh, incredibly fast locally. It can cause outbreaks to just explode in an area. But then there's the wind. This is pretty amazing. Wind can blow tiny spores literally thousands of kilometers. Just imagine these microscopic particles, lighter than dust, catching a ride on the jet stream, crossing mountains, maybe even oceans, totally unseen.
Thousands of kilometers. That's just mind-boggling. Seriously. It almost makes local control efforts seem, I don't know, a bit futile if the wind can just blow it back in. What does that mean for, say, regional agriculture?
Yeah, it definitely adds a massive layer of complexity. It means you need broader strategies, thinking regionally, not just field by field. But local efforts aren't futile. They're actually even more critical for containing things, stopping those initial sparks. And water's another common carrier, of course. Rain splash can bounce spores from leaf to leaf, or irrigation water can just wash them across a whole field. And finally, never underestimate contaminated tools or infected planting materials like cuttings or bulbs. These things silently move pathogens across huge regions sometimes. They're like the hidden supply lines for disease spread.
Okay, it's definitely complex. Pathogens inside seeds, in the soil, riding on insects, blowing on the wind, flowing in water, hitching a ride on our tools. So with all these stealthy travel methods, how do we fight back? What are our counter strategies in this silent war? What's the main idea, the core principle that ties management together?
Well, bringing it all together, the core principle isn't just spot treatment. It's about being integrated. You have to target both the source of the pathogen and all those different tricky pathways of spread we just talked about. It's like building defenses on multiple fronts.
Right, a multi-layered defense. That makes
Yep.
a lot of sense. So let's get specific. How do we actually tackle these issues depending on where the problem starts, like with seeds?
Absolutely. Okay, for those seed-borne problems, it's all about starting clean. Your sources point to three main tactics. One, use certified clean seed. Seed that's tested and verified to be disease-free. It's the simplest start. Two, hot water treatments. That sounds odd, but you can carefully heat seeds just enough to kill pathogens on or even in the seed without damaging the seed embryo itself. Clever, right? And three, fungicide coatings, basically giving the seed a protective chemical shield right from germination.
Ensuring a healthy start,
Mhm.
basically. Okay, what about the soil? Those persistent bunkers you mentioned.
Right. For soil-borne issues, we need different approaches. Crop rotation is a classic. Don't plant the same susceptible crop in the same spot year after year. You break the pathogen's life cycle, starve it out, essentially. Solarization is another technique, especially in sunny climates. You cover moist soil with clear plastic, trap the sun's heat, and basically cook or pasteurize the top layer, killing lots of nasty microbes. And just improving soil health, generally adding organic matter, encourages beneficial microbes that can outcompete or suppress the pathogens.
Makes sense. Building a healthier environment overall. And what about the taxis, the insects and other vectors?
Good question. For vector control, particularly for viruses where insects are the key spreaders, you can use things like sticky traps to just physically catch the insects, or introduce natural enemies like ladybugs to eat aphids. That's biological control. Or sometimes targeted insecticides are necessary, though that's often a last resort or part of a bigger plan. And then there's just basic field hygiene. Sounds simple, but it's crucial. Cleaning up leftover plant debris after harvest because pathogens can survive on that. Disinfecting tools, pruning shears, trowels, even tractor equipment between different areas or plants. Sometimes even restricting movement of people or machinery in areas known to be contaminated. It's an extra layer of safety. And finally, believe it or not, good farm layout plays a role. Proper drainage stops water from pooling and spreading things. And things like windbreaks, rows of trees, or hedges can actually help reduce how far wind and even rain splash can carry spores.
Wow, so it really touches everything from the seed itself to how you lay out the entire farm.
Exactly. The big message here is integration. Combining these different methods, cultural like to patient, biological like predators, chemical when needed, but the absolute key is tailoring it. You have to know your enemy, the specific pathogen, how it lives, how it spreads, and then choose the right combination of strategies. There's no single magic bullet.
Which really brings up an important question for you, the listener. We've definitely covered some fascinating ground today. From pathogens hidden inside seeds to those catching rise on the wind for thousands of kilometers. Understanding these pathways, well, it really seems like the absolute key to preventing and managing disease, fighting that silent war effectively.
It truly is. And maybe thinking about how intricately these things spread and how specific the management has to be. What details might you notice now that maybe you wouldn't have before looking at a garden or a farm field? Perhaps you'll see the signs of that constant hidden dance between the plants and all these microscopic adversaries. It's this unseen struggle happening everywhere all the time. And now hopefully you understand a bit more about how it works and how we try to tip the balance.